And hello everybody, welcome to episode 60 of A Druid's Dozen. My name's John, I'm also known as the Rock Druid. I'm a bit of a radio DJ, I've got a couple of radio shows. I do the Sunday Rock Show on BCFM Radio, 93.2 FM in Bristol, and the Rock Druid Show on astroradio.earth. Links to both shows are going to be in the description, which is down there on Facebook. Over there down there on YouTube, over there on Facebook. Let's get me directions right. And basically, this is something I started about a year ago. Just I've been collecting records for years, just dragging some out at random, waving in front of the camera, and just chatting and reminiscing about them for a bit. So without further ado, let's start with today's selection. Going to kick off with vinyl as always, and we'll start off with this one. This is Firewind by Electric Sun. There is the front. There is the back. Whip this out. We have an inner sleeve there with lyrics on it, and I'll slide this out. There's the disc. Brain Records. This came out in, I don't know, 1981. And let's have a quick look at the Run Out Grooves. Nothing on that side, and nothing on that side. Oh, there's catalogue numbers, that's it, no messages. Okay, Electric Sun, German kind of krautrock, psychedelic rock band, formed by Eli Jean Roth, the former Scorpions guitarist, guy that played on, those classic albums like Light the Rainbow, Virgin, Killer, In Trance, etc. He quit the Scorpions mid-70s or late 70s and formed Electric Sun, a kind of psychedelic type band. And this, I think, is their second album. I think the first one was just called Electric Sun, the second one was called Firewind. There is at least one other album out, which I looked at a few episodes ago now, called Astral Skies or something like that. But anyway, this album, they're a kind of, they're a three-piece. Some of the Astral Electric Sun's other stuff, there's lots of guests involved, but this is just a three-piece. Eli Roth on guitar and vocals. Siddhartha Gautama on drums, and Ulay Ritzgen on bass. Just a three-piece, bit Hendrix-esque maybe, but still with kind of big slice of krautrock that runs through it. Highlights on this include the Enola Gay, Hiroshima Today, which is an epic 10.5 minute play out the final track. It's some atomic guitar and some really heavy lyrics, because remember, this album came out at the height of the Cold War, when there's, having lived through that period, protect and survive, threats of nuclear destruction, etc. Scary times. But anyway, so it gave birth to a cracking track on here. The other stuff is title cut Firewind, some lovely guitar work on that. Just Another Rainbow, Children of the Sea, rather curious track called Chaplin and I, which is it's about Charlie Chaplin, the famous silent comedy legend. yeah, it's very good. It's kind of, it's a well conceived, well put together album. The playing's pretty good. I'll say it's not very Scorpions, it's more kind of Hendrix, maybe hints of Cream and that in here, Robin Trower maybe, all that kind of stuff, but intensely listenable and a lot of fun. Would I recommend it? Yeah, sure I would. I'd recommend all the Electric Sun stuff. Yeah, go check out. Pretty good. Earl John Ross, Electric Sun from 1980 with Firewind. Okay, next up, have a CD. We have this one. There is the front. This is The Neon God Part 1 by The Rise by W.A.S.P. And this was 2004. There is the front. There is the back. Pop this out. There's behind the disc. There is the disc. Whip out the booklet here. I'll go about it more this in a minute, but this is a concept work, and Mr. Lawless has penned what's effectively a novella. It's a short story, but actually it's a pretty damn long short story. Yeah, it just goes on and on and on for page after page after page. And then you've got lyrics or script, because, you know, the term rock opera comes in here. And there we got eventually get the credits at the end. Yeah, quite an intense album. Yes, I just found this, the receipt from an Oxfam charity shop. Well, I picked this up from a good few years ago now. Don't know why I keep that in there, but you know, I did. Anyway, I can't remember what the. Not like that. Bear with me a second, people. I'm all fingers and thumbs today. I've been up all night watching the Olympics, so if I'm not exactly with it, that'll explain why. There we go. Yeah, got to admit, this is one of the W.A.S.P albums I don't listen to that often. It's a long way from that kind of, you know, the classic cop rock kind of, yeah, smutty innuendo filled stuff, like, you know, from albums like the first one, Last Command, Electric Circus, all that kind of thing. You know, ever since they had these children, W.A.S.P have been trying to be more of a serious band. And, you know, writing these big, heavy concept works that talk about, you know, sort of like the human psyche, morality, political issues, etc. This is one of them. Story, if I remember rightly, is about a kid that kind of, it's the old kind of rock star, kind of post-apocalyptic kind of dystopia type thing. Kid forms a band, becomes quite popular. And I've got to admit, I don't know how it ends, because I have yet to ever get around to the Neon God Part 2. I do not possess a copy. Something I need to rectify. But overall, so I'm not going to review it as a concept work. I'm just going to review this as a standalone album. This is a very, very good record. I do like this. I've got a lot of respect for W.A.S.P. Don't get me wrong, I like the earlier stuff, you know, the kind of Fuck Like a Beast, etc. material, but you know, from the head. It's from Head This through albums like Head This Children, Crimson Idol onwards that W.A.S.P really kind of caught my attention as something worth listening to. Highlights on this one include The Red Room of the Rising Sun, The Running Man, Sister Sadie, Land of the Black Habit. Just an excellent album. It's very heavy, you know. Blackie Lawless is on form as a both as a writer and as a singer. And he produced it himself, and there's a first-rate production on this. The rest of the band, which includes on this lineup, it includes Frank Bernardi, who's the old Quiet Riot drummer. It just holds together really, really well. Definitely recommend it, and this is kicking me backside into I'm going to try and at least download a copy of Neon God Part 2, which I don't even know what it's called. But anyway, Neon God Part 1, The Rise by W.A.S.P, 2004. Pretty damn good. Okay, next up, another bit of vinyl. This is When the Mirror Cracks by Q5 from, he says, trying to remember, 1986. There is the front. There is the back. Whip this out. There are lyrics. There is Q5 themselves. Slide this out. And there we go. Music for Nations Records. That's its UK label. I don't know what it was released on in the States. And yeah, just catalogue numbers on the Run Out Cruise. Now, Q5, US kind of, well, the first album, which I think is called Steal the Light, which I have around somewhere, Q5 are a kind of melodic metal band. A bit like Japanese band Wow Wow in sound. It's got keyboards and it's kind of, very melodic but quite heavy. By the time they got to this one, they're heading more into kind of a heavy Journey territory. Think bands like Journey, maybe Styx, and heavy them up a bit. Overall, it's pretty good. Now, these guys are probably best remembered for a guy, their lead guitarist was a guy called Floyd Rose, and any kind of guitarist worth his salt will know that Floyd Rose is the guy that invented the double interlocking tremolo bridge system, which basically means that all the guitar heroes and plank spankers can dive bomb and whittle for their heart's content without going out of tune. Nothing I've ever used myself. I'm not much of a trem merchant, and I do have a trem on my Paul Reed Smith, but I use it sparingly because I haven't got a Floyd Rose locking system on it. But anyway, not only was he in kind of, there's a few other kind of inventions and patents that Floyd Rose came through, created on his career as a guitar worker. He used to work for Fender apparently, but as a guitarist, Q5. Now the band themselves came out of Washington State, and as I said, this is their second album. A bit more melodic, kind of, I said, heading into Journey territory. It's not bad. I've got to admit, I do prefer Steal the Night out of the two albums. This one, it's very, very good. It's very well played, but it's not quite satisfying. A bit like a cheap Chinese meal, you play it and you want to hear something else immediately afterwards because it doesn't quite tick all the boxes. Highlights on here, the title track is probably my favourite track on here, When the Mirror Cracks. Your Tears Will Follow Me is a sweet little song. I Can't Wait, Cold Heart, Living on the Borderline. It's all good stuff, although, you know, the old metalhead in me, I do tend to find I can get a bit frustrated with kind of AOR type stuff, and the metalhead in me, which is just wishes this had a bit of the bite that Still the Light did. I think they did one, they broke up not long after this album came out, and I think there was a Reformation album in the late 90s, but I don't possess that if it even exists. So anyway, yeah, Q5, When the Mirror Cracks. Interesting, but not exactly earth-shattering. Okay, next up, we'll have a bit of pop punk out of Canada. This is Epicure by the Twigs from... I'm going to have to look inside. Anyway, there's the front. There's the back. Whip this out. There is the disc. There's the just a basic paper thing. And like I said, this was on Engineer Records in the UK. I don't know what the Canadian or American label was. And it hasn't got a yeah, it hasn't got any release date on this. I think it's around about 2004, 2005, although I could very well be wrong. Oh, that's right. This is Endearing Records, not Engineer Records, the Canadian label. And I think the band themselves, though operating out of Canada, are actually Norwegian. But again, I may be wrong. Anyway, Twigs, they're kind of emo, pop punky type stuff. Yeah, kind of part of my pop punk collection. They're not too bad. Again, they're not exactly an earth-shattering band. When I drag this out the sometimes with these old CDs now, I'll drag them out the rack and, you know, I'll pick it up and go, oh yeah, I know that one. This one, I picked it up and I was going, now, I can remember having it, but I can't remember what it sounds like, so I have to give it a couple of spins to kind of re-familiarise myself with it. And to be honest with you, played it a couple of days ago and I'm still kind of struggling to remember what's much about it. But it's not bad. It's competent in performance-wise. Highlights on here include what is it? There's a track called Slumber, which is pretty good. The Galleon Song, it's got a nice party, pop punky party number. Mirror Image, the closer, probably the highlight of the album. But overall, it's a little bit forgettable, which is a shame because the band's got had a lot of potential and they could have been great. But you know, try as I might, and I do enjoy listening to it. It just doesn't twig. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. So you know, give them a listen, but try before you buy. Yeah, from Whenever, Epicure by Twigs. Okay, next up we'll have something really odd. A Change of Heart by a band called Golden Avatar, 1976. There is the front. There is the back. Sundahishan disc label. And again, just a catalogue number on the Run Out Grooves. Now, I said there's a strange story behind this album. Golden Avatar are a band formed by a guy called Mike Cassidy, who I believe was an American or Canadian sort of like jazz fusion guitarist. And this is a sort of jazz fusion album. He discovered at some point in the early 1970s the joy of Hinduism, especially the Krishna branch of the kind of Hindu-related religions, and decided to put together a new band. Of people I haven't even heard. Actually, there's a guy on here called organist called Barry Goldsman, who vaguely rings a bell, but I can't think of who he's been with. But put together this this band that includes kind of you know, a large brass section, a string quartet, and you know, kind of basically anything else you can think of, and recorded this album, which I think is the only thing they ever released. This is a album. This is a very religious album. This is the Hare Krishna equivalent of Christian rock, Krishna rock maybe, and I'll be honest with you, it's not very good. And I'm not knocking it because it's religious beliefs. I'm just saying it's a rather bland, forgettable release. It makes for Muzak. You could probably get away with playing this album in elevators. You know, best thing about it's the artwork on the covers, which is there and there. Nice kind of fairy things, and the artwork's done by a guy called Yama Ram Das, whoever he is, some Indian bloke probably. But anyway, yeah, it was. It's not very inspiring, you know. If I was a particularly spiritual person looking for answers for the spiritual side of my life, this wouldn't exactly have me running off to the lake, like shaving my head, putting an orange robe and running off to the Krishna temple. Just as much as the Petra album I was talking about last week wouldn't have me running to church or confession. Very disappointing. There's it's well played. There's some good instrumental performances on here, but like I said, they're bland. But anyway, what makes this really interesting is that in the UK at least, the Hare Krishnas got hold of large numbers of these albums and would hand them out to people on the streets who thought might be interested. Now, I got mine charity shop job. I just saw it and it was something like 10p, so I thought, that looks a bit hippie, I'll grab it. This is many years ago. But since I had this out ready to kind of play and review, I've had a couple of friends drop around my house and gone, oh, I got given a copy of that by the Krishnas in the middle of Bristol back in the 70s. Yeah, there's probably a large number of these floating around. I will buy it partly if you can find it for 10p in a charity shop, which I still do from time to time. Yeah, there must be thousands of these things knocking around. I will pick it up for the artwork and the curiosity value, but the music is just forgettable. So, yeah, 1976, Golden Avatar's A Change of Heart. Curio and nothing else. Okay, next up we'll have something a bit metal. Here we are, there's the front. One of Your Neighbours by Suicide. There's the front. There is the back. Open this up, got a broken jewel case. Pop this out. There is the disc. Slide this out, there's a better look at the cover artwork. Lyrics. More lyrics. More lyrics. Yeah, more lyrics. Yeah, more lyrics. Band photo and credits. Now, Suicide are a Turkish death metal band out of Ankara, I believe, or is it or is it Imzir? Anyway, somewhere in Turkey this lot are from. Got this, and it came out in I think this is around 2010, because I got this from can't remember the name of the label either. Bozdog Records. Got this from the label in a little pack of Turkish death metal I got sent. Only thing I've ever received from this particular label, and I don't think the label ever actually released this, and Self-Torture and one other one that came through. But anyway, Turkish death metal. It's metal and it's death, and it comes from Turkey. And this is good. This is a good album. I do like this. It's heavy, it's intense, but it's very intelligent with it as well. Standout cuts on here include The Struggle That Never Ends, title cut One of Your Neighbours, Hellstar, Terror Preach is a track to die for. Intensely heavy, got a rip at sort of like post-thrash, and yeah, vocals are kind of real gutsy. Merchants of Misery, the closer. Every track's a winner. Every track's a piece of superb Turkish metal brutality. You got the guitarist and rhythm guitarist and vocalist, a guy called Ekran Tasaglu, Ratt Kushku on lead guitars, Ezad Korkut a bit on bass, and Klaglia Uzet on drums. Great band. I think after this they went on to do at least one more album, although I don't think they're currently together, which is a shame. But they've left behind this. So around about 2010, Suicide, One of Your Neighbours. If you like it heavy, you like it extreme, you like it death, check this one out. It's a corker. Okay, next up, we'll have this lot. This is Mission Polar Lights by the Satellite Year, sorry. There is the front. There is the back. Pop this out. There is the disc. Sorry, I'll do it this way. There's the back of the booklet, and a better look at the front cover, and then it kind of folds out lustily. So you got lyrics there, lyrics there, and there's the band. So this lot, when did this one come out? Has it got a date on this one? Stuff that has no dates on. How can I tell the people how long this album's been around if there's no dates? This one is 2011. Yeah, this lot, post-hardcore band out of Berlin in Germany. Sweet little album. The only thing I've ever heard by them, I don't know what else they've done, but you know, let's say if they haven't done anything else, they've left behind this little gem, and it is a gem. It's a great album. It's kind of got that kind of I don't know, that kind of, hints of sort of like, maybe converging their mellower moments. Also kind of hints of bands like Shinedown and that floating through this. It's just good. My favourite cut on here is track 8, You Are Fiction, I Am Actor. Beautiful piece of music. Other highlights, Because This Ain't Vegas, Girl Go Home, See Us for Competition, We May Collide. Just well worth trying to track it down. I noticed when I was doing the research into this is available. Still, I don't know if the band's still together, but this is available. I found this on several sites, including Spotify and Bandcamp, etc. So you can still get your hands on it. This was Engineer Records in Britain as well, by the way. So yeah, not much else to say really. Just a really good album. If you like a bit of post-hardcore, highly recommend it. And I've got a bit of an emo vibe to it maybe as well, but it's just really sweet. And I recommend anyone that's into that kind of stuff to go give it a listen. Okay, next up we'll have a bit of vinyl. Actually, double vinyl. There we go. What I Did on My Vacation by Ian Gillan, or Gillan, because it's a bit of both really. There's the front. There's the back. Flip this open. Pictures of Gillan with little sleeve notes, handwritten, just a like a paragraph or a couple of lines about each song, written by Mr. Gillan himself. And whip these out. Nothing on the run out grooves. Virgin 10, or 10 Records, which was a part of the Virgin group at the time. Now this is basically it's a compilation album. Ian Gillan band that Ian Gillan formerly left Deep Purple. Originally the Ian Gillan band started out again a bit kind of prog jazz rock, heavied it up a bit, dropped the Ian at the front and the band at the end, which became Gillan. String of great albums through the early 80s, stuff like Future Shock, Glory Road, Magic, all great records. Then one day Ian Gillan got drunk, and while drunk he the story goes, he broke up Gillan and joined Black Sabbath. The rather controversial Black Sabbath's Born Again album followed, and then after that Deep Purple reformed. He was back with Purple. Now, as a kind of way of capping off the Gillan stuff, Mr. Gillan decided to return just to kind of, what's the word for it, curate is this kind of best of double album set. And yeah, although he still had unfinished business with Gillan, there are later Gillan albums, like Toolbox, etc. But this is a pretty sweet record. If you haven't got, in all the Gillan albums, this kind of gives you, it's a pretty good best of. The first side 1 are tracks lifted from the last of the Ian Gillan Band album, Scarabaeus, which is still probably one of my favourites of his albums. Then it goes on through, side 2 features If I Sang Softly, which is a spine-tingling kind of erotic love song lifted from the Future Shock album, amongst others. You got Mutually Assured Destruction, the original 12-inch single version of it. You've got things like Unchain Your Brain, the extended version of No Laughter in Heaven, Trouble, New Orleans, Lucille. Yeah, some of his rock and roll covers that he did. Just a great record. Just a good compilation. This came out in 1986, and it's quite obscure now. It did have a CD remaster in 1999, but it's now currently deleted, unavailable. So if you want a copy to complete your Gillan collection, or just use this as a kind of gateway into Ian Gillan's kind of Gillan period and some of his solo stuff, then you may have to do some hunting. But, you know, as I said, as far as kind of best of compilation goes, this is sweet. Yes, it contains the big hits, but yes, it also contains some some of the kind of lesser known and better album tracks. So yeah, although funny enough, there's very little, if anything, off the Magic album, which is a shame. But anyway, yeah, Gillan, What I Did on My Vacation, 1986. For you know, Gillan newbies and Gillan collectors. Okay, next up we're going to have a bit of kind of electric folk rock. This is Outlandish by Press Gang. There is the front. There is the back. Pop this open. There is the disc. And again, no release date that I can find at the moment. So there's the disc. Open this up, you've got lyrics. Pictures of the band. And yeah. Right, now Press Gang, if I remember rightly, I want to say they were out of Reading, somewhere along the M4 corridor, if I remember rightly, or, you know, kind of southern England. And most definitely a folk rock band, but they're heavy folk. These guys are less Fairport Convention and more of a kind of I don't know, if Motorhead released a folk album it might sound a little bit like this. Maybe that's a bit extreme, but it's in that kind of vein. It's kind of heavy. These guys are more plugged than unplugged, and I lean on it lots. This album is a collection of, which is the only thing I've got by them. They've got about 9 or 10 albums out, still band still together, and this is the only one I possess by them. And it's this one, so I can't speak with this all I do, but this is a collection of traditional folk songs, some of which you might know of. There's the Bonnie Ship, the Diamond, the Raggle Taggle Gypsy-O, the Gypsy Bride, the Outlandish Night, Blackbird. That's not the Wurzels Blackbird, is it? Where be that Blackbird too? I know where we be at beyond your Wurzel tree, and I be after E. No, it's not. But anyway, I have a quick look at that. I couldn't remember. Yeah, traditional folk songs given a rock and roll twist, but still keeping it very folky. It works. It works really, really well. My favourite cut on here has either have to be the Raggle Taggle Gypsy-O's or the Good Ale, which is traditional English drinking song. Yeah. But overall, it's pretty sweet. There's the traditional folk rock, Dorset four-hand reel, Pointe bis and Panty column wim, which is kind of just a load of jiggy kind of folk dance tunes, kind of rock and rolled up and tacked together into a little medley. A lot of folk bands do that. And yeah, makes for a sweet record. Don't know if this is still available. I think the band is still going, so yeah, track them down, check them out. But yeah, Outlandish by the Press Gang. Pretty sweet. Okay, next up, a bit more vinyl, and we're going to go back to the era of new wave of British heavy metal, and we'll have this. There is the front. There is the back. This is Hurricane Town by Stampede from 1983. Slide this out. There we go, Polydor Records. And once more, on the Run Out Grooves, just a catalogue number. Now, Stampede, one of these bands that came through along with the new wave of British heavy metal, got caught up in that movement, and yes, they are kind of new wave of British heavy metal to an extent, but don't go listening to this expecting something that's going to sound like Raven or Saxon or Iron Maiden, or even worse, Venom, because it's not. These guys are quite melodic. Yeah, that sort of new wave of British heavy metal that gave us bands like Tobruk and Grand Prix. Stampede fitting with that. They got started to Polydor. Their first album was a bootleg live at Reading, which wasn't actually a bootleg, it was an official release. Recorded live at the Reading Festival in 1981, I think it was. And then they followed it up with List, which is their first, and as far as I'm aware, last studio album. And it's pretty good. You got tracks on here like Hurricane Town, the title track, probably the standout track on the album. But you got things like Mexico, Casino Junkie, Turning in Circles. It's all really sweet stuff. Interestingly, keyboard player on this, who's not pictured on the front, is only an auxiliary member, is Mark Steinway, who later went on to play with Magnum, amongst others. And yeah, and who's the production? Oh, Nick Torber, of course, the again, one of the classic 80s British metal producers. Now, yeah, as far as I'm aware, this is the only thing Stampede ever released studio-wise. Might have been a single or two, but it's this album. Because when this album came out, they did a tour with Thin Lizzy. When Thin Lizzy were touring their Thunder and Lightning album. And basically, Lizzy broke up at the end of that tour, and Phil Lynott was looking to put together a new band, the Grand Slam, and basically he nicked best part of the lineup of Stampede for Grand Prix, which later then went on transmuted into the band Dare. So yeah, some of these guys were not quite good careers. But they left behind this album, which is really quite sweet. This is really a very listenable record. One that I still find quite enjoyable, and I'll recommend that you check out. Yeah, not much else to say really. Stampede, Hurricane Town, 1983, pretty good. Okay, something a bit more commercial, and again, something that's fairly new to my collection. Again, charity shop find from the other day. Here we go. We Started Nothing by the Tings. An album that I've been meaning to check out for a good few years, and I eventually got around to doing it. There is the front. There is the back. And I think this is about 2004. Yeah, 2004. Open it up. There is a disc. That's what layeth behind the disc. And the booklet, pictures, lyrics, and your small booklet. Yeah, now I said, this is the Tings first album. If you don't know, they're out of Salford, which is not Manchester, as anyone that's from Salford will tell you, but it's near Manchester. Actually, it's part of the same conurbation. Yeah, but anyway, the two-piece band, you got a girl and a bloke, and they kind of swap roles. They're kind of both of which do multi-instruments: drums, bass, guitar, vocals, making them quite a fluid kind of lineup with what they did. Just the two of them there is. And this is their debut album. Came out on the back of their debut single, That's Not My Name, which was a surprise UK #1 and is a cracking track. Nice bit of kind of indie pop punk. You've got chanty riff, it's chanty hooks, got a nice danceable riff, superb drum beat, and that's all I could remember about the Tings until I've got this album. And I brought it home, gave it a listen, and overall it's not bad. There are some other good songs on here. Great DJ, Traffic Lights, Impassilla Carp You Sang, however that's pronounced it. We Started Nothing. All good tunes. My one criticism is it's a bit samey. I get, I had to listen to this album in 2 or 3 sections with a kind of good half-hour break in between playing every 2 or 3 tracks, because I just found it not exactly rehashing new ideas, but it's on that one of those albums. It's in a kind of groove. It sticks to that groove. There's very little variation out of that groove. There's very little coming at you from left field to make you go, wow, what was that? Enjoyable, but not as fulfilling as I hoped it would be. Still keep it in the collection. I'm still going to pick tracks off it for my own listening pleasure and radio airplay, but it hasn't inspired me to check out the rest of the Tings back catalogue, because this is meant to be their best album, and I just found it, I say good, but a bit monotonous. So yeah, Tings, We Started Nothing. I'll give it a listen. Yeah, that's the best thing I'll say about it. Give it a listen. Okay, wind up with our last one today. Here we go. Dancing Undercover by Ratt. I think this one's 1986. I'll check on the inside in a minute. There's the front. There's the back. Rip this out. There's Ratt. There's a section of a woman with some credits. Rip this out. Oh, there is a run out groove message. Something about sterling on that side, and Same on that side. That's probably the bloke that mastered it. The UK albums, there's a guy called Porky, and quite often you'll find on the Run Out Grooves a Porky Prime cut, because it's the bloke that mastered the record, and he signed his mastering because he was Porky and he could do these things. Maybe Sterling was another one of these mastering people. But anyway, Dancing Undercover, this is Ratt's third full-length album, if I remember rightly. Yeah, because you've got the Ratt EP, Out of the Cellar and Invasion of Your Privacy, then this one. And this is Ratt's attempt to do a W.A.S.P. Just as W.A.S.P did a couple of kind of, glammy, poppy, kind of trash cock rock albums, and then brought out Headless Children and tried to kind of up the game a bit. This was Ratt's attempt to do the same. Hence a complete lack of rats or nude women on the cover. A slightly heavier, more serious production. Lack of the MTV-friendly power ballad. And also cutting down on the kind of cock rock swagger in favour of some really rather intelligent hard rock songs. There's a couple of US hits on here. I think Dance and Drive Me Crazy were US, top 40 singles, and the album sold well enough. Although, I have heard that it did isolate some Ratt fans. I've always have liked Ratt, and I do rate this as one of their best albums. Yeah. I don't think I've really heard a Ratt album that's really disappointed me. But anyway, I do like this. The performances are really good. Stephen Percy does some of his finest vocal work on here. Is it Bobby Botts, the guitarist? Let's have a quick check again. Oh no, Robin Crosby's the guitarist. Bobby Botts is the drummer. Guitars are sweet. Whole band's on form. Production's good. Yeah, great album. It's not maybe as accessible as Out of the Cellar or Invasion of Your Privacy are, but as far as the band that's maturing, it's a good record, and I do recommend that you check it out. Sadly, it also began to mark the Ratt's kind of, say, beginning of the end, but the end of their kind of fame as such, because Ratt jumping around singing songs like Round and Round and You're in Love is probably more MTV friendly than their than tracks like the excellent 7th Avenue off this. But nothing lasts forever, does it? Anyway, yeah, if you're into Ratt and you haven't got this, why not? And if you want to get into Ratt and you're only aware of Ratt's kind of more cock rock period, give it a check. You might find it enjoyable. So that's it for this week. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you've made it this far, remember, if you've got any comments about any of the albums I've seen, were you handed a copy of Golden Avatars or Change Your Heart in the street by a bunch of Hare Krishnas? Were you disappointed or pleased with Ratt's change of direction? Are there more Tings albums that I should listen to? I want to hear your opinion, so comments down there if you're on YouTube, over there on Facebook. And answer a question. I put a wrong figure up. Someone asked me roughly how many albums I've got in my collection. I overestimated. I said around about 12,000. I've not. My vinyl albums and mini albums and maxi EPs comes to around 6,500 on vinyl. I was getting my single collection mixed up with vinyl items, so I apologise for that. So that's corrected. Although the figure was right that I gave for CDs and cassettes. So thanks for watching, and Be good to yourselves, and until next week, peeps. Bye.